situation in Lab City. First, let me comment on former President Trump and the situation surrounding the former president. I want to take this opportunity to wish him a speedy recovery and to send my thoughts and prayers to him and his family. In a democracy, it's important. It's a requirement. It's an ingredient, an essential ingredient to have differences of opinions and robust debate, but there is no place and can never be a place for violence. So on behalf of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, I wish him a speedy recovery. With respect to the fire, we have some good news today. There is no significant growth in the size of the fire that is just northwest of Lab City. We do have some refined numbers about the actual footprint of the fire. It's now estimated to be at 14,000 hectares. But no growth. So that is not a change substantially from yesterday's raw estimate of over 10,000 hectares. It still remains about 4 to 6 kilometers northwest of Labrador City. It's approximately still 2 kilometers away from the Walsh's cabin area and approximately 1 kilometer away from the landfill area. That is all very good news. The weather was cooperative overnight. Temperatures did fall. There was some minor precipitation, and the weather is cooperating again today. The weather remains favorable today. Temperatures are a little lower. The humidex is a little lower. We are expecting potentially some minor precipitation today, but certainly some tomorrow. But the wind pattern is more favorable today. The winds have changed to an northeasterly pattern, which will blow the fire back on itself and limit its fuel source, which is all very good news. The status of the fire this morning is about a Category 1, which is very encouraging. As you recall from many of these briefings, Category 1 is mainly smoldering, not a whole lot of smoke, not open flames, and will allow for the hardworking women and men in the fire suppression service to really have an excellent day today. We hope with the water bombers and the helicopters, and we're so grateful for the hard work that they put in. So there will be 4 water bombers attacking the eastern front of the fire from Newfoundland and Labrador, combined with 3 helicopters and a bird dog from New Brunswick. There will also be an effort put in from the Quebec side, from Vermont, of 6 to 8 water bombers on the western front. So this should be an excellent day of suppression, an excellent day of mitigation. Given the wind conditions, given the category of the fire, this is the exact conditions that are favorable for suppression activity from the air, and hopefully over the next few days, if weather doesn't change, and that's always the cautionary tale in Newfoundland and Labrador, to get boots on the ground, to get those hardworking women and men on the ground to root out the fire and get it fully extinguished. Ashawanapi fire area, which was a new fire, as we discussed yesterday, around the Wabush area, is fully contained. It contained itself, and as I understand from talking to the mayor last night, you could almost see it extinguish on the outskirts of Wabush. So it's contained by, if you think of it as a square, there's a bog area on the top, and the other perimeters are largely bodies of water. So that's good news there as well. I want to continue to thank the mayors and the councils of Wabush and Labrador City for their continued open lines of communication and the efforts that they're putting in. They're on the ground. They're doing incredible hard work, and we're very grateful for that. And, of course, the MHA is there as well, and Wabush helping facilitate some of this, and that deserves a loud applause on behalf of everybody who's been impacted by this. With respect to the evacuation itself, right now, we have approximately 3,500 registered at the arena in Happy Valley Goose Bay. We do still continue to encourage people to register, especially if you're going to have an impact on the resources in the Happy Valley Goose Bay area. You don't have to go in to register. You can register online. You can register with the Red Cross. But if you are in the Happy Valley Goose Bay area and expect to stay in the Happy Valley Goose Bay area, it's important to register at the arena. That helps us plan for you. It helps us plan for food, for laundry facilities, for showers, for places to sleep. So that's important for us. Right now, currently in Happy Valley Goose Bay, there's approximately 700 people staying in Five Wing Goose Bay, 150 at the arena, 150 at the college, and 150 at the YMCA. The minister and Perry and I had the opportunity yesterday to be in Happy Valley Goose Bay and to talk to people who have been displaced and just see the fatigue on their face and the stress and the anxiety, but also to see the flicker of hope and the respect of the outpouring of support for them from the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay and around the province was really, really touching and really heartwarming, and again speaks to the big heart and the big land. And we're very grateful for the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay, the Salvation Army, the Red Cross. We visited multiple sites, so we're very, very grateful for all that you are doing and continue to do. There is still capacity, so if there's people who are decided to stay in Churchill Falls thinking that this fire would be extinguished in a short period of time, but now realize it may not, if they're moving on, there is still capacity in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Some of the smaller shelters especially, there's still some bed capacity available. With respect to the situation in Wabush and Labrador City itself, again, thank you to everybody for being patient and respecting the rules, the guidance, and following the guidance. It makes everybody's job much easier. There was issues with fuel supply that has been sorted to our understanding, and again, constant communication with Mayor Barron and his council. We are finalizing plans with the local grocery store now in Labrador City, so that people in Wabush can avail of food that's on the shelves there. It makes sense, likely going to expire if someone doesn't use it. So we're working with the private grocery operator to allow for essential employees to staff that facility. There are always concerns about pharmaceuticals and prescriptions when people are displaced from their homes, but of course you have an adjacent community in Wabush who also need pharmaceuticals that are often supplied from Labrador City. We encourage you to use that 811 line right now. Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services assure me that there are the required pharmaceuticals in the community for you to avail of. We will be looking towards setting up an ambulatory care clinic in Wabush tomorrow. We realize there are people who need IV medications, there are people who need dressing changes, essential medical services that may not require a hospital but need certainly medical attention. So we'll be setting up a clinic in Wabush tomorrow. The exact location to be determined. We encourage, it will be by appointment, so please call 811 to establish an appointment so we can do this in an orderly and timely fashion and prevent frustration on everybody's part. Gentle reminder, the hospital is still closed in Labrador City, so if you go there to seek medical advice, the doors are closed, and the advice continues to be to call 911, where you'll get the most appropriate advice as how to proceed. We have been in good discussions with the federal government, and they've respected and approved our request for support. We also know that as people's basic needs are met in the Happy Valley Goose Bay area, there are going to be individual needs, family needs that are more complex and require a bit more detail than a standard cot. And we understand that, and we are setting up a CSSD desk for complex individual needs, income support needs, in the arena in Happy Valley Goose Bay to allow people to go there to work through their individual problems. There is an extra ferry set up tonight as well as there was last night. So thank you to the people working on those boats. It's a big deal to allow the flux of traffic to get to the island of people if that's where they're so choosing to relocate during this stressful time of evacuation. I know there are some questions about financial assistance, and we are working through that right now, but I can tell everybody that there will be an evacuation financial assistance program, not dissimilar to the one we used for those impacted by Fiona. We will We will release the details of that in the next 24 hours, but people can rest assured that there will be some financial support, not dissimilar to, again, what we did for people in Port aux Basques who were impacted by Fiona, or some others around the country have done for people who have had to be had to experience an emergency evacuation from their homes because of forest fire. So once again, I wanted to thank everybody who's been involved in this. Being on the ground yesterday was just was really overwhelming at times, heartwarming at times. It is a major evacuation, and from the people who've been evacuated to the people who are there receiving them, it's been executed in a very logistically appropriate, operationally efficient way, but also in a true humanitarian way. And it's a sight to see, and everybody. It's a story that will be told for a long time from now, because the people have really shown up to help their neighbors. And as Premier, that makes me certainly very proud. So again, thanks to everybody for helping out. To the people who are experiencing the evacuation, we will be there to support you. That was the message that I delivered yesterday. But I need you to continue to check on your neighbors, continue to check on loved ones who've been displaced, and look after yourselves as well. So with that, I will open it up to any questions.
Premier, can you expand on the financial assistance program, what that could look like?
Yeah, so right now, Ben, we're looking at something that would be similar to the Fiona package. So if you recall, that was, I think, off the top of my head, $1,000 for people who were displaced from their homes as a result of Fiona. There were some lessons learned in Fiona, and and certainly the logistics of delivering that money will be expedient, will happen quicker than it did with Fiona as a result.
Judging by the progress that we're having, is there a way to know approximately when
Yeah.
we'll know when
It's a $1 million question, and that's what everybody asked yesterday. All I can tell you is that from the fire experts, from the modeling, from the weather pattern today looks more favorable. But whatever prediction we give will almost certainly, the only prediction that is accurate is the prediction I give to when you can go back will be not right. So just bear with us. People may look at today's news and think, well, we'll be back tomorrow. That's completely premature. This fire was essentially extinguished just 2 days ago, and here we are. So things can change very rapidly with weather patterns in particular in Newfoundland and Labrador, but especially in the big land. So just bear with us. But positive news today. But certainly I wouldn't pack up your vehicle to head back to Lab City anytime soon. So just bear with us. Safety first, always.
So, Premier, a follow-up to that
Yep.
question. When it comes to all these people now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, how long do you think we can sustain this aid, the support that we're giving them?
Well, I think we can sustain it for quite some time. We're very fortunate to have the infrastructure in 5-Wing Goose Bay and in the college that's not currently occupied. And the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay have really showed up. Whether that's, there's plenty of food there yesterday. There was no question about it. So people could feel the support in terms of places to lay their head. They could feel the support in terms of being fed, shower facilities at the Y. I know there are some questions about laundry facilities. We're currently working on that as a logistical operation, what facilities to use and how to book people in to do laundry. But we're very lucky that the infrastructure exists in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but perhaps more lucky that the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay have such open hearts and open minds and welcoming their neighbors. So we can sustain this for a while.
You mentioned the question of our fuel resources was kind of cleared up. Can you
Yeah.
expand on that?
So as you know, early on in the conversations, there were some issues around supply of fuel for Lab City and Wabush, and people from Wabush accessing that supply. That has been resolved with those who supply fuel, and again in conversations with the mayors, does not seem to be an active ongoing issue. Wabush still is on evacuation alert, so they need to be aware of that, and we want to make sure that if heaven forbid if things change and they need to evacuate, we want to make sure there's adequate fuel supply there for them and their vehicles, not just for the use of moving around the community while they're not evacuating, but so they could evacuate should it be required.
You mentioned yesterday that they're in Labrador City, but there's still some people that are there.
Yes.
Do we know about them? What's going on?
They seem to be doing well from all accounts. They're essentially essential workers at this point. RNC, still some healthcare workers, IOC officials, some IOC basic staff, hydro officials, and of course the mayor and her team and her emergency response team are still there. They seem to be in good spirits and holding up well. By all accounts, in talking to them, they could feel the change in the weather pattern. They could feel the change in the fire situation, if you will. I mean, in talking to fire officials yesterday on the ground in Happy Valley Goose Bay, one gentleman told me they'd never seen anything like this. The fire was generating it was so aggressive the day before on Friday. It generated its own wind pattern. It was just consuming so much fuel. The fuel was so dry that it was so aggressive that it was actually traveling in the direction opposite of the wind. It was generating its own wind, which is quite something. Sucking the oxygen in, obviously, and then creating its own local weather system is remarkable. But that's not there today. And people talking to people in the shelters, they could feel that inferno outside their doors. They could see it change rapidly, and talking to people today, they feel like, again, it has changed. They can feel the coolness, they can feel the humidity change, they can feel that the fire acuity and the wind pattern has changed.
With Wabash under alert, what kind of things should people have ready in case they do have to evacuate at a moment's notice?
We have a list, I believe, on a website of what should be you should have packed, but basically enough to get you to Churchill Falls, certainly, but ideally to Happy Valley Goose Bay. Essential medications are critically important, and something that could be easily forgotten, really, when you're trying to pack up urgently. Basic clothing elements, but there's a more detailed list on our website, I believe. If not, I'll get that to you, Ben. I believe it's a standing recommendation for any emergency situation.
And it wasn't long ago the Emergency Preparedness Minister approved federal assistance.
Yep.
What's that going to look like?
So the assistance that the federal minister has provided, and we're quite grateful for it. Been talking to him multiple times, and he's been very supportive. Is really twofold. One in providing release of the infrastructure. Five-Wing Goose Bay is an incredible asset. We all feel ownership of it as a province, and we're very proud of it. We hope it will be used more in the future, frankly. That's one of the goals we're trying to achieve, but it is a federal asset, and so to open up the doors of that is critically important. But they're also there to help from a humanitarian perspective in offering support for people navigation, telling people where to go, providing security, directing resources like that has also been incredibly helpful. Any further questions? Great. Well, I'll just end where I started, and well, not quite where I started, but thanking the people of Labrador for everything they do. It's having been on the ground, it's been absolutely spectacular to watch Newfoundlanders and Labradorians show up for each other, and to see the fatigue and the anxiety, but the appreciation that people were coming to somewhere that was welcoming, that was warm, that had a commitment to them and valued them was the true essence of Newfoundland and Labrador, and it did us all proud, I think, to see it on full display. Great. Thanks, everybody. Minister, did you have a comment before we leave, or anybody on the screen? I should have offered up any comments.
I think the number one thing, a lot of people that are in Churchill Falls or Goose Bay now, that's thinking this might be a little longer, they're just wondering about getting back to the island. So there's been quite a lot around the ferry. Thankfully, as the Premier mentioned, Labrador Marine did add an extra ferry last night, and they're also adding an extra one tonight. And it is peak season, and they're already doing multiple trips a day, so it's really incredible. We did have a number of vehicles that were couldn't get on this morning, and hopefully they'll get on to 3:30 or on tonight. So somebody did ask you, Premier, about sustaining the numbers in Goose Bay, and I think it's noteworthy that, as you mentioned, a lot of folks are moving through, so maybe not be as high a number in Goose Bay several days down the road, which will help.
Exactly. I mean, we described housing, a number maybe off by a little bit, but 1,200 people in Happy Valley Goose Bay right now. The town is 9,600. So, you know, people have gone to their cabins, and I encourage people again that the cabin graphic and geographic parameters are available for people to see where their cabins are safe or not safe. People have gone to their cabins, people have gone to their family members on the south coast, onto the island, and it's a true Newfoundland and Labrador story.
One final comment I'll make, just in case someone have not became aware of this yet, but when you leave Goose Bay, you've got like about 700 kilometers to the ferry. Not everybody has the same financial means. So the town of Fort Howe came out offering free accommodations in homes for folks traveling. Lansa-Clare followed suit, and now we got Lansaloo opening bids. So it really continues the good humanity, the good in humanity that we're seeing continues on up the coast of Labrador. So there's information online. If anybody would like more, they can certainly reach out to me directly. But it's been an incredible response in terms of people providing free accommodations to help those displaced evacuees.
Premier, if I could have just a comment to say I'm here in Gander with ADM Blair Adams, and just want to say thank you to staff. DM Chippett is online as well, and the ADM here. They do a lot of groundwork, and I appreciate everything that they do, and all the people that put in the hours of work. We don't realize the people on the ground that do the work, and I just want to tip my hat to them. But I also want to remind the people of the province that are listening and watching about the fire ban for the whole of the province, and that's very important. You know, we don't need our crews to be dealing with unnecessary fires due to people not respecting the ban. So I ask all people to certainly obey that for the sake of all of us. And anyway, thank you.
That's a good reminder, Minister, and certainly, the staff have been amazing. We spent some time with the same staff, by the way, who were doing the modeling and on the ground doing the Churchill Falls fire in Happy Valley Goose Bay yesterday, and they're unsung heroes behind the scenes, really directing the operations, and they deserve a round of applause as well. Great. Thanks, everybody.